I'm joined now by Democratic candidate for governor, Rob Sand. Thanks so much for being here.
Yep, thanks for having me, Amanda.
Well, you now have a running mate on your ticket. You announced that is Dave Mulbauer, Crawford County Supervisor, fifth generation farmer,
Something
I
like
believe.
that.
So walk me through how you decided who to pick. You only get one, so what was kind of your decision through that? And what do you hope he adds to the ticket?
I know what Dave adds to the ticket. He is a farmer. He has been a county elected official. I think city and county and school district elected officials over the last 10 years have seen the folks in Des Moines with one-party control sucking all the power up into Des Moines. And they keep getting told to do more and more stuff, while at the same time their ability to do it is cut. And I think a lot of people at the local level are really kind of sick and tired of that. He can speak to it. He's been a part of it. He's also a guy who's in my party who's been elected in a county that has gone where 3/4 of the voters have been voting for the other party's presidential candidate, President Trump. And so he's someone that people can look at and go, I like this person, as opposed to feeling like, oh, this isn't a person. This is some kind of an automaton. You meet Dave Mulbauer, you get a really good sense of who he is. His entire lifetime, his whole family history has been in agriculture, not just corn and beans, but cattle as well. And I've known him for years. I've always really liked him, always really respected him. Dave is the kind of guy that you meet and you could not see him for years, and you see him again, exact same guy he was the first time. Like just an inherent level of trust in who he is, that he has in himself, and that you can read that in him as yourself when you meet him.
How will the two of you campaign? Will you campaign mostly together? Will you do separate stops?
Great question. We'll figure it out.
I know it's early. You have 150 or something, days.
Maybe I should be counting them. I don't have a counter. I'm sure somebody has a counter, but we'll figure it out. We get along really well. Like I said, I've known him for years. Not really well, but we're going to have a lot of fun together, I think.
Well, changing gears to a different topic now, there is the first attack ad, I believe, targeting you up of the general election from your opponent. It's similar to one that the Republican Governors Association had put up, I believe, last month. It revisits a controversy from 2024 that is related to the misallocation of millions of dollars in misallocated court debt payments. That ad argues that you failed to act. Now, KCCI fact-checked the ad that was put up last month, but I just want to give you an opportunity to respond, because there may be voters watching that ad who may be wondering whether you missed something important as your job in state audit.
Look, the judicial branch itself wrote, this is not the kind of thing that could have been caught in an audit. The reason is that this had to do with computer coding and the routing of where money was going. The easiest way to understand this, I could tell you for 15 minutes, I could take up this entire interview if I wanted to, and all the details on this thing. If you walked into your bank and you said, hey, I'm making a deposit, put this in my checking, and then it turns out that the bank put it in your savings, you would still have all your money, and the last person that you would try to blame for this would be the bank's auditor. That's basically the situation here. The money is still in state accounts, and as the judicial branch said, this isn't something that could have been caught in an audit. They are, if that's what they're looking at, then I feel like we're doing pretty good.
Now, we're week one of the general election, and we're already seeing lots of attack ads. Your campaign has put 2 attack ads up against your opponent. Now, you've been campaigning on unity, about lowering the political temperature. How do you reconcile that with your campaign starting week one of the general election with 2 ads?
Look, I'm a prosecutor. In 7 years as an assistant attorney general, I went in courtrooms around the state, and I stood this close to people that I had indicted for crimes, and I told a jury of 12 Iowans, this is what this person did. This is why they did it. You need to find them guilty, and I asked the jury to do their job. I'm not going to hesitate to tell Iowans the truth about who my opponent is. Amanda, I'm very excited for Iowans to get to know my opponent. We use his own words in this ad. His own words were, if elected, I will change my living situation and I'll be in Iowa as much as humanly possible. That is an acknowledgement that he doesn't live in Iowa. I think this is a full-time job. We're 48th on average for personal income growth over the last 3 years. We're #1 for cancer growth. Our education system is just in the middle of the pack, which for Iowa isn't good enough. And I don't think you can be a full-time governor if you're a part-time Iowan. He has an ad that he ran prior that said, Iowa jobs are for Iowans. I think that includes governor. This isn't something that you can do just sort of in your free time or in your spare time or as a part-time. I will be happy to tell people about that. What I've done in all of my campaigns is always tell people the truth. I think it's important. People have a choice. They ought to know the good and the bad. We can do that in a way that is #1, fundamentally honest.
How do you inform voters while also not leaning into the division that you tell voters you want less of in this state?
Again, I'm just using the guy's words, right? I mean, he acknowledges that he would have to move here and be here as much as humanly possible if elected governor. Those are his words. If I'm somehow, I don't buy the idea that it is divisive to use his words. To me, this is a decision that Iowans have to make. And I want them to understand who I am, and I want them to understand who he is. That's why I go to 100 town halls every single year. I have been in public service as a prosecutor of public corruption and violent crime for 7 years, 2 terms as state auditor. I've been doing this that whole time. He hasn't been here. I think that that is a fact that people are going to care about. And again, I can tell people that just the way I'm doing it right now. It doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be lies. It can be the truth.
Let's talk about your 100 Town Hall tour, because you did one last year. You're launching it back again. In what ways will this feel similar? Obviously, the format, I imagine, is probably similar to what you did before, but more people may know of you. They're squaring you between your opponent. How will this maybe look different in a general election campaign?
I'm pretty much the same the whole way through, so it's going to look very much the same. Again, everyone is invited. If you are a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, we don't care who you are. We think you deserve a chance to come see me in person, to take my measure, to ask me a question when we get to the Q&A. And I think that that's important. I think Iowans want to have a chance to do that. And so right now, anyone who's watching this can go to robsand.com and click on town halls, and we have announced all 100 of them. We have the date for all of them. I think we have the time up for all of them. And if you RSVP, once we see how big of a space we need, then we let people know what the location is going to be. But I encourage people, everybody, to come. That's what it comes to when, of course, 2 people who are running for the same office are going to talk about why they think they're the better candidate, and that's going to include a conversation about why the other candidate might not be as good. But I still, at the end of the day, I want people to come together. I'm inviting people into the room who they are certain they're not going to vote for me. I'm okay with that because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're asking people in these rooms, Amanda, to love their neighbor. I mean, you were there last year. We asked people to applaud for people in the opposite political party. And then we asked them to sing America the Beautiful together. I can talk about my strengths and my opponent's weaknesses at the same time that I invite us to weave social fabric together and to become stronger as a state.
There are some Republicans and independents that like that message and tone, that say they're interested in a governor like that, but they also have expressed some concerns that you may not govern in the same way as you're campaigning. I know that you have pointed to your record, you've pointed to the Republican donors, the people showing up to these events, but genuinely, what is your response to these people? Because they point to some other politicians that who they believe campaigned as moderates and then got into office and passed progressive policies. How do they know that you're different from that?
I'm actually really, really glad that you asked me this question, because I think it's one of the worst arguments, frankly, that the leaders of the Republican Party have. They are using fear so that they can continue to pick people's pockets. Bottom line, $20 million in workday money that wasn't appropriate because the governor's former chief of staff works there. They doubled the pay for the private company out in New York City that runs school vouchers programs around the country, getting nothing else in return for taxpayers. And now they're trying to say, ooh, watch out, Rob Sand. And then they say the names of states, number one, that those people aren't me. I am myself. And again, I do 100 public town halls every year. You want to come meet me? You want to come see who I am? You're welcome to do it. But they name the states that are led entirely by one party. Now, it happens to be my party. My point is, I want to have divided government. At 100 public town halls last year, everybody in the state of Iowa heard me say these words. If you think that the answer to 10 years of one-party control in Iowa is to give the other party 10 years of one-party control, please visit California or New York. There you will find problems. Some of them are different because the parties are different, but some of them are the same because when you have one little group of people that has all the power, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, Amanda, my whole life growing up in Iowa, we had divided government. Both parties had to share control. We always had Tom Harkin and Chuck Grassley mostly canceling each other's votes out in the U.S. Senate. That meant that neither of them could go do something that was way out of line. That's what I want us to get back to. I think that a big reason that we have gotten to where we are is because we have had 10 years of one-party control. I will be working with a Republican legislature if I win. That means that every single bill that gets passed, it means that every single budget that gets passed is something that the vast majority of Iowans who are common sense, reasonable people who can admit when a broken clock is right twice a day will be able to look at that budget and look at that bill and say, that's pretty reasonable. I think most of us can agree that that's moving us in the right direction. But yes, the people who are very much enjoying all of the power that they have concentrated and who are handing out tax dollars to their friends as favors, yeah, they're going to use fear to try to convince people that that's a bad idea.
Though you will have the ability to issue executive orders, choose your own state government. I mean, passing bills will require bipartisan work, but there are some levers you would also be able to pull to kind of go beyond just what's in the legislature.
Let's talk about that. I've said I want to do 2 executive orders. One, if they had already been willing to do it, they wouldn't have had to raise taxes on Iowans just this legislative session. They passed a tax increase for most people's health insurance programs in order to fund the profits of the companies that run the state's privatized Medicaid program. Those companies have given Iowans worse health care. They have driven up costs for health care providers. They have made health care worse and more expensive in the state of Iowa. And now the folks that are in charge, rather than just the governor could have signed an executive order to reverse what has been a disaster for Iowa. Instead, they signed a tax increase to help pay for the profits of those companies. Yeah, I would reverse that the same way that it was done because I think that's a good idea for ordinary Iowans. It would help lower costs for ordinary Iowans. The other one, we did this in the auditor's office. I want to make it so that if you have a job that can be done from anywhere in Iowa, you are allowed to live anywhere in Iowa. We audit in all 99 counties just about every year. Our employees have to be all over Iowa. And so now if they want to live in rural Iowa, we let them live in rural Iowa. We should do that with other state jobs too, because I think the benefits of state jobs, the economic activity, shouldn't be concentrated in the capital, which is already the most economically prosperous part of the state.
Now that we're in the general election kind of season, there are maybe voters out there who are starting to learn about you and your Republican opponent. Both of you talk about wanting to transform and change Iowa. As I mentioned, you both talk about fighting high cancer rates, improving water quality, strengthening public education, fighting special interests. Fundamentally, what is different about your vision for leading the state than your opponent?
Well, the vast majority of what he has proposed is more of the same. He has a couple of places where he sounds different, but making the right sounds is different from actually having plans. We've got much more specific plans as to how we're going to do these things. I have been talking about Iowa's water quality, and I've been talking about the cancer rates this entire campaign and before that. You can go back and look at what I've put out on social media. Water quality is something that is near and dear to me as a guy that grew up trout fishing and tubing in northeast Iowa. And now I wonder about my kids who are growing up right here in Iowa, getting in the water, and if that's going to be dangerous for them. There was just this story in the Register a few weeks ago about a really talented young woman who was able to compete at state track despite having been in the ICU because of an infection she got while swimming. This is wrong. It's not good enough. And we have to do better for our kids than that. These are things that I've been talking about for a long time. But the vast majority of the stuff that I've been describing, again, I'm running against a guy who has 10 years as a full-time paid political operative. He has been working for the same people who voted to gut the state auditor's office. That's been his career. And so I think it's going to be pretty clear to most people when they're deciding that it's going to be change versus 4 more years of the same.
Well, Rob Sand, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.